Announced today that we are branding our new power business, Accelera, by Cummins. Cummins is well known as a global diesel engine provider, and we've been...
Imagine a world where trucks can travel over 600 miles without producing a single drop of pollution, where refueling takes just minutes instead of hours, and where the roar of a powerful engine doesn't mean harming our planet. Sounds impossible, right? Well, the CEO of Cummins just dropped a bombshell that has the entire automotive industry sitting up and taking notice. They've developed something that could completely change the game, and trust me, electric vehicle makers are feeling the heat right now. Picture this. You're driving a massive 18-wheeler hauling tons of cargo across the country. You need power. You need reliability. You need range. For years, we've been told that the future is all about batteries and electric motors. But what if there's another way? What if we could keep the power and performance of traditional engines while saying goodbye to all the nasty emissions? That's exactly what Cummins has figured out, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. Let me take you back for a second. Cummins is not some small startup trying to make noise in the market. This company has been building engines for more than 100 years. They've been powering trucks, buses, construction equipment, and all sorts of heavy machinery since way back in 1919. When these folks say they've invented something revolutionary, people listen. And their CEO, Jennifer Rumsey, has been leading the charge toward a cleaner future with a passion that's truly inspiring. Now here's where things get really interesting. While everyone's been obsessing over electric vehicles and battery technology, Cummins has been quietly working on something completely different. They call it hydrogen internal combustion engine technology, or H2, ICE for short. I know. That sounds super technical, but stay with me because this is where it gets exciting. These engines burn hydrogen instead of gasoline or diesel. And when hydrogen burns, you know what comes out of the exhaust pipe? Water vapor. That's it. Pure water. Zero carbon emissions. Zero pollution. Just clean water that's safe enough to drink. Think about that for a moment. An engine that performs like a beast but leaves nothing behind except water. It sounds like science fiction, but it's real and it's happening right now. Cummins has developed two main versions of these incredible engines. The first one is called the B6.7H. This mid-sized powerhouse is designed for everything from delivery trucks to buses to farm equipment. It produces up to 290 horsepower, which is plenty of muscle for getting serious work done. But the real star of the show is the X15H, and this thing is an absolute monster. The X15H is a 15-liter beast that cranks out up to 530 horsepower and an incredible peak torque of 2,600 newton-meters. If you're not an engine person, let me put that in perspective. That's enough power to haul the heaviest loads up the steepest mountains without breaking a sweat. We're talking about trucks that can carry 44 tons, traveling hundreds of miles with the same kind of performance drivers expect from diesel engines. And the best part? They're doing all this while producing zero carbon emissions. Now, you might be wondering why we should care about hydrogen engines when electric vehicles are already here. That's a fair question, and the answer reveals exactly why Cummins technology could shake up the entire EV industry. Electric vehicles are great for passenger cars and light-duty trucks. But when you get into the heavy-duty world of long-haul trucking, construction equipment, and industrial machinery, batteries start showing their weaknesses really fast. First, there's a weight problem. Battery packs for heavy-duty trucks are absolutely massive. We're talking about thousands of pounds of batteries just to get decent range. That weight cuts into how much cargo you can carry, which means you're making less money on every trip. With a hydrogen engine, the fuel storage system is much lighter, so you can carry more of what actually makes you money. Then there's the range issue. Electric trucks can travel maybe 300 to 400 miles on a full charge, and that's under perfect conditions. Cold weather, heavy loads, or hilly terrain can cut that range significantly. The Cummins X15H hydrogen engine, on the other hand, can potentially deliver over 600 miles of range. That's the difference between being able to complete your route and being stuck on the side of the road. But here's where it gets really interesting. Charging a heavy-duty electric truck takes hours, even with the fastest chargers available. During those hours, your truck isn't moving and you're not making money. Refueling a hydrogen truck takes about the same time as filling up with diesel, roughly 10 to 15 minutes. You pull in, fill up, and you're back on the road. For commercial operators, time is money, and hydrogen engines give them back that precious time. There's also the cost factor that everyone's talking about. Electric heavy-duty trucks are expensive, really expensive. The battery packs alone can cost as much as a traditional truck. Cummins has designed their hydrogen engines to be more affordable than going fully electric. Plus, and this is brilliant, their new fuel-agnostic platform means that much of the engine is the same regardless of what fuel it burns. The parts below the head gasket are similar whether you're running diesel, natural gas, or hydrogen. Only the parts above the head gasket change for different fuels. This design makes manufacturing more efficient and keeps costs down. But wait, there's more to the story. Cummins isn't just building these engines and hoping for the best. They're part of something called the Hydrogen Engine Alliance, working alongside major players like Bosch and other industry giants. Together, they're building the entire ecosystem needed to make hydrogen engines practical and widely available. They're developing the fueling infrastructure, the supply chains, the service networks, everything needed to make this technology work in the real world. The company recently completed a major project with partners in the United Kingdom focusing on advancing hydrogen engine technology for commercial vehicles. This wasn't just theory or laboratory testing. They built real engines, put them through brutal real-world conditions, and proved that the technology works. They even developed specialized turbochargers specifically designed for hydrogen engines, marking another industry-first achievement. Here's something that really shows how confident Cummins is in this technology. They're planning for full production of their 15-liter hydrogen engine by 2027. That's not some distant dream. That's just around the corner. Major companies are already lining up to be early adopters. Terex, a manufacturer of concrete mixer trucks, has already added the X15H hydrogen engine to their specifications. These mixer trucks operate under some of the toughest conditions imaginable, constantly moving, constantly working, often on difficult terrain. If hydrogen engines can handle that, they can handle anything. Now, I want to be clear about something. Cummins isn't against electric vehicles. In fact, they're developing electric powertrain solutions too. What they're saying is that there's no one-size-fits-all answer to the environmental challenges we face. Different applications need different solutions. For city buses making short, predictable routes, electric might be perfect. For long-haul trucking across vast distances, hydrogen engines might be the better choice. For some applications, traditional diesel with ultra-low emissions might still make sense. It's about having options and choosing the right tool for the job. This flexibility is actually one of the most important parts of the story. The transition to clean energy isn't going to happen overnight. We need solutions that work right now, not just in some idealized future. Hydrogen internal combustion engines offer what experts call a crucial transitional technology. They can work with existing infrastructure and manufacturing capabilities while still delivering the zero carbon emissions we desperately need. Let's talk about the environmental impact for a second. Transportation is one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. Heavy-duty trucks alone account for a massive chunk of that pollution. If we can convert these trucks to run on clean hydrogen, the impact would be enormous. We're talking about cutting millions of tons of carbon dioxide emissions every single year. Cummins' goal is to help reach zero emissions by 2050, and hydrogen engines are a major part of that strategy. But hydrogen engines don't just help with carbon emissions. They also address another major problem with traditional diesel engines: air quality. Diesel exhaust contains all sorts of nasty stuff like nitrogen oxides and particulate matter that harm human health and contribute to smog. Hydrogen engines produce water vapor and trace amounts of nitrogen oxides that can be easily controlled with catalytic converters. The air coming out of these engines is dramatically cleaner than what comes from diesel. There's another angle to this story that doesn't get talked about enough: jobs. The automotive industry employs millions of people around the world. Many of them have skills related to building and maintaining internal combustion engines. If we transition completely to electric vehicles, many of those skills become obsolete. But hydrogen engines still use similar technology to traditional engines. They still have pistons, crankshafts, valves, and turbochargers. The workforce can adapt their existing skills rather than having to learn completely new technologies from scratch. This helps protect jobs while still moving toward a cleaner future. Cummins has also been smart about how they're positioning this technology. They're not just talking to truck manufacturers. They're working with agriculture companies, construction firms, mining operations, and anyone else who relies on heavy-duty power. The B6.7H engine is perfect for tractors and farm equipment that need to run all day without stopping. Construction equipment that operates in remote areas where charging infrastructure doesn't exist can run on hydrogen instead. The applications are almost endless. The timing of this announcement is also significant. We're at a critical moment in the fight against climate change. Governments around the world are setting aggressive targets for reducing emissions. Companies are under pressure from customers, investors, and regulators to clean up their operations. But they also need practical solutions that won't bankrupt them or make their operations impossible. Hydrogen engines thread that needle perfectly. They're clean, they're powerful, they're cost-effective, and they're available soon. Now, the big question everyone's asking is, where does the hydrogen come from? This is actually a crucial part of the equation. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. But here on Earth, it's usually bonded to other elements like oxygen in water or carbon in natural gas. We have to separate it out, and that process takes energy. If we use fossil fuels to make hydrogen, we're not really solving the problem, just moving it around. But here's the exciting part. We can make hydrogen using renewable energy. Solar panels and wind turbines can generate electricity that splits water into hydrogen and oxygen through a process called electrolysis. When this hydrogen is burned in an engine, it creates water vapor, completing a perfect clean cycle. Water to hydrogen, hydrogen to water, with zero carbon emissions at any step. As renewable energy gets cheaper and more abundant, green hydrogen production becomes more and more practical. The infrastructure challenge is real, though. We don't have hydrogen fueling stations on every corner like we do with gas stations. Building that infrastructure will take time and investment. But here's something interesting. It's actually easier and cheaper to build hydrogen fueling infrastructure than to build out enough electrical charging capacity for heavy-duty trucks. Hydrogen can be transported in trucks or through pipelines, and filling stations can be built relatively quickly. The electrical grid would need massive upgrades to handle the charging demands of thousands of heavy-duty electric trucks. Cummins and their partners are already working on solving the infrastructure puzzle. They're collaborating with fuel providers, working with governments, and helping to establish the standards and regulations needed to make hydrogen fueling safe and practical. This isn't just an engineering challenge. It's a systems challenge, and Cummins is thinking about the whole picture. Let's circle back to why this is such a threat to the electric vehicle industry. Electric vehicle companies have been telling everyone that batteries are the only path forward, that internal combustion engines are dinosaurs that need to go extinct. They've poured billions of dollars into battery technology, charging networks, and marketing. And now here comes Cummins saying, wait a minute, there's another way that might actually work better for many applications. This puts companies like Tesla, Rivian, Nikola, and others in an awkward position. They bet everything on batteries. If hydrogen engines take off in the heavy-duty market, all that investment might not pay off the way they hoped. Sure, batteries will probably still dominate passenger cars, but the commercial truck market is huge and incredibly profitable. Losing that market to hydrogen engines would be a major blow. The traditional automakers are probably watching this with great interest too. Companies like Ford, GM, and Mercedes have been trying to figure out their electric vehicle strategy while still selling millions of traditional vehicles. Hydrogen engines give them another option, a way to stay competitive in the clean energy race while completely abandoning the engine technology they perfected over decades. What's really clever about Cummins' approach is that they're not forcing anyone to make an all-or-nothing choice. Their fuel-agnostic platform means that a company can start with natural gas engines, transition to renewable natural gas for lower emissions, and eventually switch to hydrogen when the infrastructure is ready. It's a gradual path rather than a cliff jump. That flexibility is going to be really attractive to a lot of companies. There's also a geopolitical dimension to this story. Many countries don't have enough electricity generation capacity to power millions of electric vehicles, but they can produce hydrogen, especially if they have good wind or solar resources. Hydrogen engines could help these countries participate in the clean energy transition without requiring them to completely rebuild their electrical infrastructure. I want to emphasize something important here. None of this means that electric vehicles are bad or that hydrogen engines are perfect. Both technologies have their place. The point is that Cummins is offering a compelling alternative that addresses real-world challenges in ways that pure electric powertrains struggle with. Competition is good. It drives innovation, keeps prices reasonable, and gives customers choices. As we move forward, the market will decide which technology wins in different applications. Maybe long-haul trucks go hydrogen, city delivery vans go electric, and passenger cars split between both depending on how people use them. Maybe someone invents a better battery tomorrow. That changes everything. Maybe hydrogen production becomes so cheap and easy that it dominates everything. We don't know yet, and that uncertainty is actually exciting. What we do know is that Cummins has thrown down the gauntlet. They've shown that clean energy doesn't have to mean sacrificing power, performance, or practicality. They've demonstrated that there are multiple paths to a sustainable future. And they've reminded everyone that you don't have to be a Silicon Valley star to innovate and disrupt entire industries. Sometimes the most revolutionary ideas come from century-old companies with deep expertise and a commitment to solving real problems. The CEO of Cummins, Jennifer Rumsey, has been absolutely clear about the company's vision. She's committed to pushing boundaries, delivering power solutions that the world depends on, and leading the clean energy transition. Under her leadership, Cummins isn't just responding to change. They're driving it. They're not waiting for the future. They're building it. So what does all this mean for you? Well, if you care about the environment, this is really good news. It means we have more options for reducing emissions without requiring everyone to completely change how they live and work. If you work in transportation or logistics, it means you'll have choices about how to clean up your fleet without sacrificing performance you need to stay competitive. If you're an investor, it means the clean energy race is more interesting and unpredictable than ever. The next few years are going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. Will hydrogen engines take off the way Cummins hopes? Will battery technology improve enough to overcome its current limitations? Will some completely new technology emerge that makes both of these obsolete? We're living through a pivotal moment in automotive history, and it's going to be wild. One thing is certain. The electric vehicle industry just got a serious wake-up call. They're no longer the only game in town when it comes to clean transportation. Hydrogen engines are here. They're real, they're powerful, and they're coming to market fast. The competition is on, and that's great news for everyone who wants to see cleaner air, lower emissions, and a healthier planet. Cummins has been powering the world for over a century, and now they're showing us how to power it cleanly for the next century. Their new hydrogen engines represent more than just new technology. They represent hope, options, and practical solutions to one of the biggest challenges humanity has ever faced. Whether you're a truck driver, a business owner, an environmentalist, or just someone who cares about the future, this is a development worth getting excited about. The revolution in clean transportation is accelerating, and it's taking forms that many people didn't expect. Hydrogen engines might not be as flashy or talked about as electric vehicles, but they might end up being just as important, if not more so, in the fight against climate change. And Cummins is leading the charge, proving that old companies can teach new industries some important lessons about innovation, practicality, and solving real-world problems. So the next time someone tells you that batteries are the only future for transportation, you can tell them about Cummins and their hydrogen engines. Tell them about trucks that can go 600 miles on a tank of hydrogen that refills in minutes. Tell them about zero carbon emissions that come from burning the most abundant element in the universe. Tell them that the future is more interesting, more diverse, and more exciting than anyone thought possible. If this video got you thinking about the future of transportation and clean energy, then I've done my job. This is a kind of innovation that deserves attention, discussion, and support. The engineers and leaders at Cummins are working hard to give us better options for a sustainable future, and that's something worth celebrating. The EV industry might be feeling the heat right now, but competition makes everyone better. And in the end, we all win when companies are pushing each other to innovate and improve. So here's my challenge to you. Hit that like button if this story got you excited about the possibilities of clean transportation. Share this video with anyone who cares about the environment, trucks, engines, or the future of our planet. And make sure to subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep following this story and bringing you updates on all the amazing innovations happening in the world of clean energy and transportation. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Are hydrogen engines the future? Or do you still think batteries will win? I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore more groundbreaking technologies that are shaping our world.